All right. Hope you've had fun with all the stuff you've been working on so far. Now we're going to do a little bit of structural stuff. And I'm working on I've expanded this over here to structural plans, and I'm working on top of foundation wall for the level. And you need to make a few settings. Um, One thing you'll notice is in this view, you can see the grid lines because I had turned grids off on your regular floor plans because I did not want you working off of the grids, dimensioning things and stuff like that. Because in a residential plan, you're not going to show grid lines on your prints when you print them out. In a commercial job, you will, but in a residential one, you will not. So they're turned off in the the regular floor plans. But the structural plans, I left them on. I don't know so much that we're going to use them. Just the way that this one works out, it's just as quick to do it manually. Anyway, okay, so I'm on top of foundation wall plan. You need to edit your view range to these settings here. Um, Associated level 6-inch, cutting plane -1 inch, bottom at top of basement footing -1 foot, view depth, top of basement footing -6 feet. Okay, so that will work for that. And then in my visibility graphics override, I turned off floors so that I can see my footings down here. Okay, so now here's one steel beam that I've already put in place. There you see it right there. That's in section going through it. Okay. And here's elevation looking at it from the side. Now we're putting these in flush with the top of the foundation wall. Here's one over here. Because, okay, y'all have not dealt with steel beams much, not in the work that we've done here anyway. But under your wall, you remember you've got a sill plate that goes on top of the concrete wall that that wall sits on. Well, there's also a wood plate that goes on top of the beam that the floor joist will rest on. So those will be flush to the top of each other. So I'm going to show you how we do that because we actually have 3 of them that we're going to put in. You'll need to load them. So you go structure, you go beam, and I've already got them loaded, but you'll come up here, load family, and they are in structural framing, steel, okay, and all the way down at the bottom, wide flange. And then you have to scroll down and pick out the ones you want. Okay, now the book shows a 12 by 28. There's not one 12 by 28 in our plan, so I use a 12 by 30. In the same way, I think W8 by 21, I used a 12 by 22. Well, I wonder, that's got me curious now. I saw those were 2 different families. So let me look back here and see. Well, there's not a W shapes here. It's just wide flange. Interesting. Okay, I'm guessing that other W shape came in through the columns. Okay, scratch that. Okay, so I'm going to put one across here. And this one, let me back up to this one, sits into the wall, inside the stud wall here, and then it goes into the concrete wall on the other end, and we'll cut out a beam pocket there. This one goes into the concrete wall on both ends with a beam pocket. So what I do is I start, and I'm not trying to get it lined up right on those to start with. So I'll start in the center core of the concrete foundation wall. If it's not set yet, go ahead and set that level top of foundation, okay? and then I'll go to the center core of the other concrete wall and click there, and then that places it. Okay, and because I dimensioned and locked my footings previously, I'm just going to align them to the center of the footings. Okay, now let's come down here and look at our end conditions. Okay, as you can see, now we click the center of the core, but it stops the beam short. That's just the way it does that. I want it to come in. Yeah, I can't remember if I said 3 or 4 inches. Let me go back and look at my other one here. I did 4 inches into the concrete, and then it stops it back just a little bit there. Okay. So under my end cutback, I'm going to go -4 and apply that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the start. -4 inches. Okay, and if you look, it put it 4 inches into a 10-inch wall. Okay, so we want it to go less than halfway into the wall. We want a little bit of room on each end. Okay, because when you go to put these things in, you got to have room to kind of move them around a little bit. So you'll do that on those ends. Now this one I did 4 inches into the concrete. I did 3 inches into the wood, and you'll have to adjust your cutting plane down, and then I found it better to go to shaded for working with this, but that goes in 3 inches inside the wood framing. Now we have another beam that goes across, and it is a W8 by 18, and it goes on top of these beams, and it's between the two footings. So I'll go back. Let's change out to a W8 by 18, and I'm still going to go with that, but I want to raise it 8 inches. So I can change my Z justification to bottom, and I think that will work. Let us see. And of course, because my cutting plane is the way it is, I can't see it in this view. Okay, so there we go in this view. Beautiful. Okay, except for I actually want it to extend out to the edge there, or we could just call it 6 inches. And I'm going to guess that it's the same on the other end. I'll change it and then go look. Oh no, oh, because that beam is a little bit less. So let's just change that back to 0 to start with. So we'll go 4. Okay. And so that's got the beams in place. Now I still need to locate that one. So I'll come back here and change my my cut plane.